Imagine a world without wheels. Hard to envision, isn't it? And yet, the wheel, in its simplicity and elegance, is so pervasive that we often take it for granted. It's there in the morning when we hop onto our bikes or into our cars, it's present in the office chair we swivel around in, and it's a crucial component in the machinery that produces our daily necessities. The wheel is a ubiquitous part of our everyday lives, yet its importance is often overlooked. It's not just a tool for transportation, it's a fundamental building block of modern civilization. It's a symbol of human ingenuity, and a testament to our ability to transform the world around us. Think about it. Every time you turn on your car, you're relying on an invention that dates back to the 4th millennium BC. And it's not just in your car, wheels are everywhere. They're in the gears of your watch, the turbines generating your electricity, and the rollers in your printer. They're even in your computer's hard drive, spinning away at mind-boggling speeds. Consider the humble wheelbarrow too. It's a simple tool, but it's made heavy lifting a whole lot easier for thousands of years. Imagine if we had to carry everything by hand or on our backs. Imagine the monumental effort it would take to build our cities, our roads, our world. And let's not forget the fun side of wheels. Without them, there would be no roller coasters, no skateboards, no merry-go-rounds. Our leisure activities would be a lot less thrilling without this simple yet profound invention. So we've established that wheels are everywhere and they're incredibly important, but what if they were never invented? What if we woke up one day and wheels just didn't exist? How different would our world be? Would we have found other ways to move things around, to power our machines, to enjoy our free time? Or would our progress have been hindered, our world less advanced, our lives more laborious? So, what if we woke up one day and wheels were never invented? Let's dive into this hypothetical scenario. Scene script. Firstly, consider transportation. Without wheels, our mobility would be severely limited. Let's imagine a world where the wheel was never invented. Cars, trains, bicycles, all these common modes of transportation would be non-existent. The convenience of traveling long distances in a short time would be a luxury we could only dream of. The world as we know it, constantly on the move, would be infinitely slower and more laborious. Without wheels, we'd have to rely heavily on animals for transportation. Horses, donkeys, camels, these would be our primary means of getting around. We'd have to adapt to their pace, their endurance, their needs. The speed and efficiency we're accustomed to would be replaced by a more organic but far less predictable rhythm of life. And what about public transportation? Trains and buses, the backbone of urban mobility, would be a thing of fantasy. Instead, we might see a vast network of waterways with boats and ferries as our main form of mass transit. Cities would need to be built around rivers and lakes, altering the landscape and the pattern of human settlement. Air travel, too, would be unimaginably different. While the basic principles of flight don't rely on the wheel, landing and taking off certainly do. Without wheels, we might see an increase in water-based aircraft like seaplanes, or even more use of airships and hot air balloons. And let's not forget personal conveyance. Bicycles and skateboards, the joy of many a childhood and the commute of many an adult, would be wiped from existence. In their place, perhaps we'd see more innovative uses of sleds or skis, or a greater reliance on our own 2 feet. Clearly, without wheels, getting from point A to B would be vastly different, and not in a good way. Our world, our cities, our very way of life would revolve around this absence. The wheel, such a simple invention yet so integral to our existence, shapes our lives in ways we often take for granted. Without it, we'd be living in a vastly different world. Beyond transportation, think about the impact on industry. Wheels play a crucial role in machinery and manufacturing. Imagine a world where the wheel had never been invented. The effects would be far-reaching, influencing industries we often take for granted. Let's start with the construction industry. Picture massive cranes, excavators, and bulldozers. Now, strip away the wheels. The result? A significant slowdown in operations. Without the wheel, we'd need to revert to ancient methods of construction. Think of the pyramids or Stonehenge. Monumental achievements, yes, but achieved with a tremendous amount of human effort and time. Next, consider the role of wheels in manufacturing. Conveyor belts would cease to exist. Assembly lines would become assembly rooms, filled with workers passing products from one stage to the next. The speed of production would plummet, and the cost of goods would skyrocket. Now, let's think about power generation. Many forms of electricity production, from hydroelectric dams to coal-fired power plants, rely on the wheel's simple principle. The wheel's rotational motion is used to generate electricity, a process that would be far more complex without this fundamental invention. In the field of agriculture, the wheel has been a game changer. Tractors, combines, and other farming machinery all rely on wheels for efficient operation. Without wheels, farming would be a much more labor-intensive process, impacting food production and prices. And let's not forget about simple machines like pulleys. These devices, which are essentially wheels with a groove for a rope or cable, are used everywhere from stage theaters to shipping ports. Without pulleys, lifting and moving heavy objects would be a much more difficult task. Indeed, the wheel's absence would have profound effects on our industries. The pace of life would slow down, and many of the conveniences we take for granted would disappear. Without wheels, our industries would be far less efficient and our lives would be much harder. Now let's conduct a simple experiment to understand the importance of wheels. Imagine you have a hefty box, full to the brim with books. Your task is to move this box from one end of the room to the other. Try first to drag this box across the floor. Feel the resistance? That's friction at work, my friend. The invisible force that opposes movement. Friction is like that one friend who always insists on playing devil's advocate, making everything a little more difficult than it needs to be. When you drag the box, the friction between the box and the floor is high, making it challenging to move. Your muscles strain, your brow perspires, and you're probably wondering why you agreed to this experiment in the first place. Now, let's introduce the hero of our story, the wheel. Place this same box on a simple cart with wheels. Notice the difference? The box glides across the floor with ease, making the task significantly less strenuous. The wheels on the cart reduce the contact area with the floor, thereby reducing friction. It's like suddenly, your devil's advocate friend decided to become your biggest supporter. But how does this work? Well, when an object rolls like a wheel, it only needs to overcome static friction to start moving, which is generally less than the friction experienced by dragging the box. Once the wheel is in motion, it continues to roll with less resistance. It's a bit like the initial push to start a task. Once you get going, momentum keeps you moving forward with less effort. It's a simple demonstration, but it reveals a profound truth. This experiment underscores the genius behind one of humanity's most transformative inventions. The wheel isn't just a tool that makes moving objects easier, it's a fundamental principle of physics, beautifully applied in a practical way. The results of the experiment clearly show why wheels are so important in our lives. So, a world without wheels seems unimaginable, doesn't it? Indeed, our journey through this hypothetical scenario has been eye-opening to say the least. Let's take a moment to revisit the main points we've covered. We began by exploring the impact on transportation. We realized that without the wheel, we'd be stuck in a world where distance is a formidable barrier. Travel would be arduous, time-consuming, and in many cases simply impossible. Trade, exploration, and migration would all be severely restricted. Our world would be much smaller, our horizons much narrower. Then, we delved into the effects on industry. Without wheels, there would be no assembly lines, no machinery, no factories as we know them. The Industrial Revolution would be a non-event without this humble invention. The ripple effects would be enormous, affecting everything from agriculture to construction, from manufacturing to mining. Our technological progress would be stunted, our societies far less advanced. We also conducted a simple experiment to demonstrate how indispensable wheels are in our everyday lives. Remember how difficult it was to move that box without using anything round? It's a small yet powerful testament to the importance of the wheel. So, where does this leave us? It's clear that the wheel is not just a tool, but a cornerstone of human civilization. It's a symbol of progress, a catalyst for change, and a testament to our ingenuity. This simple yet profound invention has shaped our world in countless ways, and it continues to drive us forward quite literally every single day. While it's hard to imagine a world without wheels, this thought experiment helps us appreciate the simple inventions that make our lives so much easier. Until next time, keep those wheels turning.